it's all political. It's all political in nature. And I reported before about how in 2001, Washington went and visited with Hollywood and said, this is how we want you to portray terrorism and stuff. It's a mind control project, is what it is. And like I've said, a lot of times before, if you just had one article and you're going by one article, it would sound crazy. It would, you'd say, that's a coincidence. But when hundreds and hundreds of articles documenting fraud, corruption, total deceit over and over again, then what you have is an actual conspiracy. An actual conspiracy to defraud and deceive the American people into giving up their freedom. Remember, right after 9/11, they said that they admitted that the terrorists were after our freedoms. And that's exactly what the terrorists have done. They have legislated our freedoms away, little by little, year after year. This is called incrementalism, where they slowly increment tyranny, conditioning. We've got all the movies and stuff, and they're actually admitting now that the Bilderberg Group is real, that the CFR is real, that there is a new world order. But because they know that the public is waking up to it, so they have to now not only try to co-opt the patriot movement in a big way, is hence where you see Michael Savage and these mainstream talking heads like Glenn Beck. They're starting to talk about the New World Order now. And it's being, admitted by Gordon Brown at the G20 summit. And even Jack Van Impe has been talking about the New World Order. And that is because it's real and it exists. But what we're going to start seeing now is the spin, the mind control machine in action, where, we've reported before that a lot of the mainstream media outlets are infiltrated with Council on Foreign Relations members and actual CIA agents that are put there to push agendas, push talking points, and control information, and actually disperse disinformation to the public, depending on the agenda. The agenda now is, since a lot of people are waking up to this world government, this new world order, these elitists that are controlling our societies behind the scenes by using frontmen like Obama and George Bush, Hillary Clinton and John McCain, John Kerry, they're all puppets. And then, and then when they're done with them, they make them take the blame. Everybody hates them, and then they put in their new guy who's going to fix everything. And the longer you live, the more you realize that we've been being promised this stuff our whole life. We've been promised change since the day I was born. I've been seeing this. And, and after a while you wonder, wow, man, they are really screwed up, man. They're totally incompetent. And you just keep getting the same agenda. And we're rolling along. And then, if you wake up, you start looking at this and saying, exactly what is the New World Order? Who is it? Where, what are their motives and what are their plans? And you realize this is total evil. And and that is lightly put. That's no exaggeration at all. This is occultism that has ties to Satanism. And most of these leaders who claim they're either Jewish, Muslim, Christian, or whatever are really practicing Luciferians. And you can trace that back through their symbolism, through their writings, their books, eyewitnesses' accounts, whistleblowers. That's really what we're dealing with here is pure evil. And we're going to get into that when we cover the Bilderbergers later on in the show. But here's an example of another where the president says one thing and then does another. But yet, the American press still just wants to idolize him and worship him as the savior of this country when he's really what they call the closer. And I believe that was George Humphreys that was talking about that, where he is the closer. We're at the end of the game now. They've set it all up. He's here to clinch it, to clinch the deal, to bring in the New World Order. I mean, Henry Kissinger, a major player of the New World Order, admitted this, that Obama is going to bring in the New World Order. He is the man. He's the go-to guy. And then, and I get criticized a lot. They're like, "Oh, Harry, you just don't like it that there's a black president." Well, you're absolutely wrong, because I voted for a black person for president. Okay? I would have rather seen Cynthia McKinney as president. She would have been a better president. Although my support went more to Alan Keyes. But, Ron Paul was my choice in the primaries. He has a movement now, Campaign for Liberty. Check that out, because that is growing. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But there is a freedom movement going on in the United States and around the world, actually, where there is a great awakening to what's going on. People are getting hip to the Federal Reserve, the privately owned Federal Reserve, and these other institutions that are unconstitutional and that are carrying out unconstitutional acts. I mean, look at one of the largest bureaucracies that we have now, Homeland Security, when they said that was for the terrorists, when everything that they're doing nowadays is domestic. We were called crazy when we were telling people this, that this is not what you think it is. This is a Gestapo. And now people are starting to realize it, because they've turned the guns onto the American people. They've turned the target to the American people, and people are starting to feel it now. And we really do need to wake up our military and our police, because as Jack McLamb has said, when tyranny comes, it'll be wearing a uniform. The mainstream press isn't gonna, report on this. And here's another one. The Agency France Presse, May 13, 2009. They wrote, Obama to revive tarnished Guantanamo military trials. President Barack Obama is to announce this week that he's reviving controversial military trials for terror suspects held at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. officials say. But Obama, who sharply criticized the use of military commissions to try extremists under his predecessor George W. Bush, may ask lawmakers to expand legal protections for detainees, the official said Tuesday, requesting anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter. And they notice, he may ask lawmakers. Well, he may repeal the Patriot Act, but it doesn't seem like he's going to do that either, even though he said it. He may kick all the lobbyists out, but like he said, he wasn't going to have lobbyists, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere in the administration. Rachel Maddow criticizes Obama on prolonged detention. Rachel Maddow has come around. Too bad it's too late. Liberals are easily fooled, that is. Liberals are so mesmerized by Obama's rhetoric, the promises he has absolutely no intention of fulfilling, that they overlook the fact that he's a frontman for the same sinister forces behind George Bush, who the liberals hated, and rightly so, with a vengeance. It is now impossible to ignore the fact that Obama will not only continue the policies of the Bush administration, torture, detention, war stretching out into the indeterminate future, but will build on them as instructed. Obama will jettison his liberal followers because he no longer has use for them. It remains to be seen if they will mobilize and fight against the dark forces in control of the government, or if they will simply repeat the process during the next staged election cycle. It was Albert Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Are liberal Democrats insane? And again, a false left-right paradigm. I think they're all insane. The people who supported Bush were insane. The people who are supporting Obama are insane. They're they're not really insane. They're misinformed. But here again is a supporter of Obama who's now critical of Obama. And Kurt Nimmo wrote at Infowars.com May 17, 2009, Obama continues torture and torture-related murder in the bogus war on terror. Lost in all the blather about Nancy Pelosi, the CIA, and torture is a stark fact generally ignored by the corporate media and the news shows talking heads, but not only did the United States torture, it murdered the tortured. John Sifton, a reporter and researcher for human rights, told Goodman Human Rights Watch and other groups about torture homicides back in 2003. The killings, at least some of them, have hardly been kept secret. New York Times and Washington Post have reported on deaths of detainees in Afghanistan.